Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Lee, aka Rollin Thunder, and in today's video we're going to be talking about motorcycle mentality and the psychology it takes to be a biker. So sit back, relax, grab yourselves a cup of tea, and let us begin the video. So, how are we all? I hope we're all good. In today's video we're talking about the psychology stroke mentality it takes to be a biker, and this is coming from someone with 15 years experience. So as a biker of 15 years experience, I feel as though I'm pretty well placed to actually, you know, talk you guys through the sort of mentality and the mindset you need to have to be a biker, or at least be a biker in the UK. Because let's face it, riding on London's roads isn't always as safe as it sounds, and believe it or not, you have to have your fucking eyes and ears on stalks everywhere you go, because if you don't pay attention you'll end up hurting yourself or someone else, and we don't want that, do we? I suppose starting from the very beginning, if you've never ridden a bike or even a moped for example, you should understand the basics of what I'm going to say. To begin with, you've got to have a little bit of common sense. You know, you've got to understand when to be safe, when you can go fast, when you need to go slow, and so on. Like for example, the traffic's coming to a stop and I'm filtering. Now in some places in the world filtering is not legal, so if it's not legal where you are, please don't do it. With regards to road sense and roadcraft and stuff like that, that is something that you learn over time. That's not something that you'll just pick up straight away. I mean, some people do, some people don't. I was one of those people that was lucky enough to actually pick up fairly quickly. But the point I'm trying to make is, practice makes perfect. In terms of if you're going to learn to ride a moped or a geared bike, or 125, 600, whatever, practice makes perfect in every sense of the word. For example, on a moped you don't have to worry about changing gear, which in one instance is great, and another not so good. Like I said before, if you're lucky enough to pick it up fairly quickly like I did, then you know, going from a twist and go to a 125 geared bike to a bigger geared bike is fairly straightforward. It's all about, you know, practice, patience and technique. And yes, okay, bad habits do creep into your riding. I can't say that I haven't got bad habits of my own, because I do, but these are things that, you know, give you your own riding style, if that makes any sense at all. For example, a learner wouldn't do what I'm doing now, but because I'm familiar with the road, you know, it's a different story. However, I wouldn't recommend going over blind hills and filtering through traffic unless you're absolutely certain you know what you're doing, which thankfully I do. Another thing you also need to be aware of, spatial awareness. So things like this geezer in front of me who thinks it's alright to go at 15 mile an hour when this is a 20, sorry, is it 20 or 30? I can never remember. But either way, that's by the by. When you get faced with situations like that, you can take it one or two ways. You can either roll off and relax, or you can overreact and end up causing an accident because you've got a bit hot-headed and so on. Ideally, you want to take the latter approach. Sorry, not the latter. You want to be a bit more reserved, shall we say, because obviously the last thing you want to do is, like I keep saying, getting involved in a scrap. You don't want to do that. When it comes to riding in built-up areas like this, for example, this area is not exactly busy right now, but in the mornings or late evenings it can be absolutely mental round here. But the point I'm trying to make is this: you have to be patient when riding, whether it be in London streets, whether it be in the countryside, pardon me, I burped, or anywhere in between. Especially as well if you do go riding with groups of friends. The last thing you want to do is get caught up in something messy because either you or one of your mates has overcooked it and got a bit clever and ended up having an accident. That's one of the many things you have to be aware of as a biker. It's not always you that's the problem. About 60-70% of the time it's not you that's the problem, it's the people around you. For example, what I'm doing now, literally just minding my own business, and the car in front of me is stopping to let people cross the road where they should really be going to the fucking lights to cross. It's little things like that that you have to be aware of. It's, you know, that little bit of experience. It's like, why is this geezer going so slow as well? It's little things like that. I mean, if it had been any other way, I probably would have got the arse ache and gone way too quick for my own good. But you know, when it comes to riding, you have to have a cool head. If you're one of those riders or one of those people in general that gets loses their temper really quickly, all that's going to do is cause you to have a really fucked up day. That's all it's going to do. And all it takes to put that sort of thing to bed is a little bit of patience, a little bit of common sense, and obviously looking at what you're doing. Because yes, people do get distracted by all sorts of things. It's like there's a video doing the rounds on Facebook at the minute of a guy on a 125. I don't know where he was going or what he was doing, but he was paying zero attention to what was going on around him. And because he saw some fit girl on the corner, instead of looking where he was going, he looked back at her and nearly hit a car up the arse. That sort of thing you shouldn't really be doing. Okay, fine, you might get distracted by a hot girl on a street corner, or a hot girl walking down the street or whatever, but you really shouldn't be taking your eyes off the road, if I'm honest. I mean, people do. My biker mates do it. The car drivers that I know do it. It is just what it is. I mean, if you can get away without taking your eyes off the road, then yeah, great, do it. But if you have to look at where you're going, just fucking focus on what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? It's far easier to not look at someone and focus on the road ahead than it is to look around you, left, right, centre, whatever, and then having a fucking massive accident. You know, it's little things like that that make up the blueprint to be a good rider. If you're one of those people that can ride within their limits and still enjoy themselves, that's the sort of rider you want to be. At the end of the day, no one can push you any harder than what you push yourself. The last thing you want to do is push yourself beyond your limits. Whether you be riding to work or riding to visit a friend or whatever, either way, you don't want to overdo it. So if you overcook it and you end up in a fucking accident, then one, you've only got yourself to blame, and two, it's just not going to work out very well for you. It really ain't. So that's really the main things you need to be aware of. You need to be patient, you need to be vigilant, you need to make sure you look at what you're doing. It's like there's people that are going to cross the road here when the traffic lights are there. You know, it's shit like that causes accidents. And also, just going back to the awareness thing, if you don't know how to use your mirrors or do lifesaver checks, then you're in for a bad time. It's like, for example, me now. I'm looking ahead, but I can see my mirrors quite easily. I can do my lifesaver checks quite easily. You know, all these little things that you learn as you progress as a biker. It's, you know, there's the little things that you need to keep your eyes open for. It's like everything is a hazard. The thing you need to be aware of as a biker, especially when you're learning, and it's going to sound so bad, but I don't mean it to, but you have to have this sort of mentality. You need to think everyone is out to get you. Absolutely everyone. Car drivers, van drivers, lorry drivers. You need to have your eyes on fucking springs at every given opportunity. You can't just expect people to know where you are and expect you to move, or expect them to move. I can't stress this enough, guys. To be a good rider, you need to be aware of everything around you. You know, like potholes in the road, manhole covers, buses, taxis. You need to be aware of all of that, because if you're not, you're just going to end up having a really, really fucked up day. And also, you need to stay calm. You need to be relaxed when you ride. If you ride with a head of steam, like I've done in the past, you make mistakes. And you don't want to make mistakes. Whether you're riding a 125 or a superbike, you just don't want to make mistakes. Do you know what I mean? You need to ride with a cool head. If you ride angry, or if you ride upset, or if you ride in a foul mood, all that's going to do, right, and I know this from experience, all it will do is put you in a bad place, not just physically but also psychologically. You'll start making mistakes on the road, you'll miss gears, you'll get false neutrals, and what'll happen? That will wind you up even more. And when that happens, you'll end up making even more mistakes. And when those mistakes start to happen, that's when you get yourself into real serious trouble. And I'm not just talking about possible accidents, I'm talking about getting yourself in trouble with the police or your insurance company or whatever. You know, all those little things you need to take into account. You cannot ride and enjoy yourself if you're constantly, you know, having to check what you're doing, or if you're having a bad day, or if the road surfaces are shit. You know, you have to pretty much second guess absolutely everything, because if you don't, you will end up in a really bad place. And I cannot stress enough how being calm and relaxed and sensible, how much that will get you to where you need to be. You have to be chilled, you have to be calm, you have to be aware. I cannot stress that enough. you have to be aware of your surroundings, because if you're not aware of your surroundings, again, that will cause you to fucking have an accident. It will cause you to go the wrong way down a one-way street. It will cause you to end up hitting traffic you weren't expecting. You know, you'll panic brake, you'll end up hitting the floor, you'll slide off your bike, you'll have a high side, you'll hit stationary vehicles. You know, there's all sorts of fucking horrible scenarios that could potentially happen to you if you do not pay attention. And that's part of the mentality of being a biker. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of what's going on around you. You've got to make sure that both yourself and the people around you know that you're there. That's why I've always said, and I will continue to profess, loud pipes save lives. You don't have to have a bike as loud as mine, obviously, but the louder it is, the more likely you are to be noticed, to which case people will give you a wider berth. You'll be able to filter more pleasantly. You'll be able to get to where you're going without too many issues. You'll get people move out of the way for you like that. Thank you, buddy. Like I said, it's all about experience and patience. If you rush it, you'll never ever get to grips with it. It's like, for example, riding this bike. When I first got it, I couldn't get on with it. I don't know why, I just couldn't fucking get on with it. You know, I don't know whether because it was the fact that it had a lot more power than I'm used to, or whether it was to do with the fact that it was a 1100cc V-twin instead of an 800cc twin. I don't know. But this is what I'm saying. Time and patience is the key. If you're patient and take your time, you'll get to where you're going. Trust me on that. Coming from a 15-year veteran of riding motorcycles on London streets, if you take your time, you will get to where you want to be. Everything that you want will come to you. It's one of those scenarios where if you take your time and you learn from your mistakes, you will get everything that you've worked hard for. It's all there if you're willing to do the work. It's the same principle with like my YouTube channel. I could quite easily have folded up my channel and not bothered, but the fact that I've now got 3,500 subscribers, I'm nearly monetized, you know, that gives me the motivation to keep doing what I'm doing. If you take anything away from this, either as a new rider or a rider that's returning to the road, or someone that just needs a bit of a brush up on their skills, the three main things that I can say to you without a shadow of a doubt: 1, be patient; 2, be vigilant; and 3, don't make any rash decisions. If you can stick to those 3 primary rules, you won't have a problem. Trust me, you really won't. You really, honestly, truly won't. But obviously everyone's entitled to their own opinion and to do their own thing. I hope you've enjoyed this little foray into the mindset and the mentality of a biker. I hope it wasn't too boring for you. As always, boys and girls, I appreciate the love, I appreciate the subscribers and the comments. Thank you for the support, it's always greatly appreciated. Just make sure you guys do the right thing. Keep yourselves safe on the road, don't do anything silly. And as always, this is Rollin Thunder saying, look after yourselves, look after each other, stay safe on the roads, and as always, adios. You ready?